Hey, this is RTS Twister, and in this video I'm going to show you how to beat mission 1-8 of the Annihilate the Spance campaign, and I'll be doing this on Trauma difficulty. I'm going to walk through what I do and why I do it. So first, the mission is scripted to allow you 6 minutes before the boss starts heading toward your base, as your ally's last HQ is invincible until then. During this time, you should focus all your ships on retaking the heavy production yards. Sending any ships north to try and delay the boss doesn't work, as the boss doesn't stop in place to shoot at your ships, and his regeneration is high enough to shrug off any trickle of damage you can apply. You need the firepower of the Ekuden capital ship to take it down. To start with, build 3 cohesion arrays, 3 mining drone bays, and 1 energy storage cell. This is all the economy you'll need to build. At the 1 minute mark, Halt will give us control of the 3 defense platforms surrounding our base, and they will give us a large boost of all our resources. You don't want to overbuild economy, as you need to retake the production yards as quickly as you can. Also make sure to place all your buildings on the right side of your base. Buildings built on the left side of the base tend to attract fish to start shooting at them, and there's no point dealing with that if we don't have to. Next, once you're given control of the platforms, build Gauss turrets. We need to protect the economy and ship production buildings they have. Place them in front so they absorb all the incoming damage, but make sure they're close in so they're also in range of the repair turrets. The north and east platforms just need 1 Gauss turret, but the south platform will need 3. The third turret on the south platform needs to be protecting it from the west, as the platform will get attacked from both sides. Once these turrets are placed, the platforms will be safe, and we can then utilize the ships being produced at them as part of our offensive. So now, which production center should we retake first? The capital yard to the west is the most important, as it has the Ekuden, which is essential for killing the boss. However, it is also by far the most heavily defended. The best way to retake the capital yard is actually to take the other centers first, and then direct their ships to the capital yard. This is because, as soon as the production center is retaken, all of its buildings spawn its first wave of ships immediately. Trying to take the capital yard without the support of large ships from at least one of the other production centers simply takes too long. Between the cruiser yard to the south and the heavy yard to the northeast, I believe the heavy yard is the better choice to target first for 2 reasons. First is that it's the slightly less defended of the two, and second, the route from the heavy yard to the capital yard happens to pass in front of your base, and the ships taking that route act as a screen for any drone swarms coming from the north. However, I think it's most likely possible to beat this mission by targeting the cruiser yard first if you really want to. It's just, I think, a bit more difficult. Now for ship composition, this is entirely determined by the enemy's defenses and our short time limit. I really tried to make cruisers work, but they're just too slow to produce. You just can't get them in time. You have to use frigates and corvettes for this. For frigates, the production yards have very good drone and missile defense, so the Strix and Cormorant frigates are mostly useless. The Harrier has cannons that can't be stopped by point defense, and is the frigate that can put out the highest damage per second against the production yards. Frigates take some time to build, however, so we won't be able to get a large number of them. All the Harriers that get made need to be kept alive as long as possible, so they can start stacking up and putting out as much damage as they can. To do this, some corvettes are needed. The corvettes will rush into close range and will distract a lot of fire away from the Harriers, which stay back with their longer range. The corvettes will die so that the frigates do not. I found a mix of about 2/3 Goshawk to 1/3 Shikra to be the best for this. Both the Goshawk and the Shikra are able to help Harriers take down the larger targets, while the Goshawk can also multi-roll into dealing with the smaller enemies, making sure the Harriers don't get distracted and can keep firing on the larger ships. Around 30 corvette yards is enough for them to be produced as fast as the enemy can kill them, at which point all resources should be put toward frigate production. Also, make sure to build your shipyards as close to the front as you can, so your ships get to the fight as soon as possible. Once there's a good stream of ships on the attack, you can also start building in front of your turrets, as it's now safe to do so. Make sure your ships that are attacking the heavy yard have a queued waypoint to go to the capital yard next. You want to make sure they head straight there instead of flying off towards the boss and dying. Also, don't wait to waypoint the ships produced from the heavy yard to the capital yard. The yards can sometimes fall faster than you expect, and because it spawns its first wave of ships instantly, If you wait to waypoint them until after you take the yard, the first wave of ships might have already spawned and left, and not gone where you want them to go. You should do the same with the cruiser yard to the south. Waypoint its production to the capital yard. So, as a recap, start out with 3 cohesion arrays, 3 mining drone bays, and an energy storage cell. Then build 5 Gauss turrets, 1 each for the north and west of platforms, and 3 for the southern one. Then build a mix of frigates and corvettes until you have around 30 corvette yards, after which only build frigates. The ships will be Harriers, Goshawk, and Shikra. Then route all those ships, including the light craft produced from the defense platforms, to the northwest heavy yard. Now, around this time you will run out of logistics. Don't build another relay hub to get more logistics. The heavy yard will provide you over 100 additional logistics supply once it's retaken. Simply save up until it falls. Once it does fall, route all of your ship production, except for the heavy yard, down to the cruiser yard. Now that all our yards are online, the cruiser yard will fall very fast. But we want the heavy ships to start on the capital yard immediately, so don't send them down to the cruiser yard. We want to take the cruiser yard before the capital yard, mostly because of where they are on the map. If you go to the capital yard first and then the cruiser yard after, all your ships will be on the opposite side of your base from the boss, and will take a long time to fly back over there. Whereas if you go to cruiser first and then capital, your ships are now right next to the front of your base and can quickly charge to the boss. We also don't want to skip the cruiser yard completely because it also provides a large boost of logistics. Once the heavy yards are retaken, place several frigate yards and corvette yards at the heavy yard. This is for 2 reasons. One is to let the heavy ships have an escort so they don't get stuck in place trying to kill a swarm of small ships and never make it to their waypoint. And second, the heavy yard gets attacked quite hard from artillery ships, and without protection it will get destroyed. I place the corvette yards as a wall to protect the north and east, as that's where the attacks come from. I don't really care if the corvette yards die, I just want them to be shot at instead of the heavy yards. After you've built the heavy escort yards, the only thing we will be building from here on out will be frigate yards set to produce Strix. Strix have very high damage missiles and will provide a decent bit of damage against the boss. Unlike the production centers, the boss won't be able to protect itself from a swarm of missiles. Don't change any of your existing frigate yards to produce Strix, as the Harriers will still be needed to deal with the massive waves of drones the boss spawns. Only set any newly made frigate yards to Strix. I also preemptively reroute all my production to the capital yard after it's obvious the cruiser yard will be retaken, as we want the capital yard as quickly as possible, to give the Ecudon as much time as we can to kill the boss. I also queue all my waypoints so all ships will head back to the front of my base after the capital yard has fallen so they are in position for the boss. Remember, we only have until the 6-minute mark before the boss will start to go after our base. Once the attack on the capital yard has started, it's fine to start building on the west side of the base, as there's no longer a worry about being attacked from that direction anymore. Additionally, the cruiser yard won't require any escorts or protection like the heavy yard does. The cruiser yard will not be destroyed. For the waypoint over the capital yard, I place it only half the distance towards the front of the base. This is because I lost the mission once because the boss moved more to the left than I expected, and the Ecudon flew right past it without shooting at it and got itself killed. The capital yard tends to fall as soon as the cruisers arrive, which means your capitals, cruisers, and heavies will all be grouped up and ready to charge at the boss. Once the capital yard falls, I build a wall of corvettes in the northwest to protect it from attacks just like at the heavy yard. I don't build any Harriers at the capital yard though. All my frigate yards continue to be Strix. Once the Ecudon's on its way toward the boss, all you have to do is route all your waypoints straight to the boss and just wait for it to die. That's the mission. If you have any questions or believe the strategy can be improved in some way, please leave a comment. If you enjoyed this video or found it informative, please leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.